Welcome to the walkthrough of the worked solutions for the Foundation Edexcel Maths 2023 paper, paper 1. So question number 1 says, here's a list of numbers, work out the range. So the range is the biggest number, take away the smallest number. The biggest number is 8. We're going to take away the smallest number, which is 2. So the range is 6. Question 2 is work out 120, take away 89. So we need to carry a 10 over. 10 take away 9 is 1. We need to carry another 10. 11 take away 8 is 3. So the answer is 31. Question 3 is to simplify 3 times a times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times a is 12a. So the answer is 12a. Question 4 is to measure the size of the angle marked X. So I've placed my protractor directly on the line of that angle and it crosses that angle at 40 degrees. So the angle marked X is 40 degrees. Question 5 is to work out 1/5 of 300. So I'm going to divide 300 by 5 and I get 60. Question 6. There are 3 litres of oil in a can. Jermaine uses 700 millilitres of the oil. Work out the amount of oil left in the can. Give your answer in millilitres. So because it's asking me to give my answer in millilitres, I'm going to convert 3 litres into millilitres. And there are 1,000 millilitres in 1 litre. So therefore, there are 3,000 millilitres in 3 litres. If Jermaine has used 700 millilitres, I'm going to subtract 700 from 3,000. And I get 2,300 millilitres. Question 7. Matt is drawing a scale diagram. 1 centimetre represents 5 metres. He draws a line 3 centimetres long. What real distance does the line represent? So if 1 centimetre equals 5 centimetres, I'm going to write that, 5 metres, sorry, I'll write that down as an equation. And then we've got 3 centimetres beneath that. So what do we multiply 1 by to get to 3? Well, we multiply 1 by 3, so we have to multiply 5 by 3 as well, and we'll get 15. So the answer is 15 metres. Now it says the real distance between 2 points is 20 metres. What is the distance between the 2 points on the scale diagram? So again, starting using the conversion that I'm aware of, 1 centimetre is equal to 5 metres. And I've now got a 20 metre real distance. So that's going to go underneath the 5. And then I know that 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm going to work out 1 times 4, which is 4 centimetres. So that is what the distance on the map would be representing. Question 8 says, Miss Bailey asked 24 students where they each wanted to go on a school trip. Here are the results. Complete the frequency table. So I'm going to complete my tally to begin with. So I've got museum here 1, museum here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then how many castles do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 farms. So I had 11 here, 7 here, and 6 there. Just making sure I have the right number. So 11 plus 7 is 18 plus 6 is 24. So I know that I've got the right amount there because it says there were 24 students. Write down the place that is the mode. So the mode is going to have the highest frequency. Castle has the highest frequency because it has a frequency of 11 compared to the farm and the museum with 7 and 6. So the place that is the mode is the castle. Part C says, draw a bar chart to show the results. So I'm going to have a castle, a farm, and a museum. So I'll write that here. Castle, farm, and finally museum. And I'm going to have 0 at the bottom, just looking at the highest number there, which is 11. So I'm going to write 0 here. I'll go up in 2s to make sure I have enough space. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I will call this the frequency, just like it says it in the table. So I'm just going to write frequency here. And then I'll call this place, just like it does in the table. Now Castle had a frequency of 11, so I'll draw a line going up to 11, which is between 10 and 12. And then I'll just have a quick look and see. So farm had a frequency of 7. So I'm going to leave a space between my farm bar and my castle bar. Draw a line up to 7. And then museum had a frequency of 6. So I'll go up to 6 this time. Just trying to be as precise as possible. So just taking a note there that I have created 3 bars that are all 2 boxes wide and they have a space between them. I've labeled my axis, my X and my Y as well. And so I know that I've got a good bar chart. Question number 9. Selena has a bag of 22 counters. 5 of the counters are blue, 9 are red, and 8 are pink. Selena takes at random a counter from the bag. Write down the probability that Selena takes a red counter. So our probability is going to be the number of red counters over the number of counters in the bag in total. So the number of red counters are 9, and then there are 22 counters in the bag. So it's just 9 out of 22. The probability that Selena does not take a pink counter will be the probability of Selena selecting a blue and a red. So I'm going to do 5 plus 9, which gives me 14. So there's 14 blue and red counters altogether, and I'm going to just put that over 22. You can simplify that, you don't have to. And then thirdly, the probability that Selena takes a white counter, well, it doesn't say anything about white counters in this bag, so therefore the probability has to be 0. Question number 10. Here are the ingredients needed to make 20 peanut butter cookies. We've got 250 grams of peanut butter, 200 grams of sugar, and 2 small eggs. Derek wants to make 60 cookies. So now we need to find out the relationship between 20 and 60. And it says he has 900 grams of peanut butter. Does Derek have enough peanut butter to make the 60 cookies? So the first thing you want to do is work out how many times bigger 60 is than 20. And to do that, you're going to do 60 divided by 20, which makes 3. So therefore, all of the ingredients have to be multiplied by 3 to find out how much of each ingredient will be needed to make the 60 cookies. But here we're talking about peanut butter specifically. So we're just going to multiply 250 by 3. And you get 750. So that means that Derek actually needs 750 grams of peanut butter. He has 900. So we're going to say, yes, he does have enough. Derek has enough. And I'll say because 900 grams is bigger than 750 grams. So you just want to make sure that you do have that concluding statement as to why you know that Derek has enough. It's not enough to say just yes or no. You must have that working out. Question number 11. On the grid, draw an enlargement of the triangle with a scale factor of 3. So it says on the grid, so it could be anywhere on this grid. And what I'm going to do is firstly look at the base. My base is 2 squares wide. So I'm going to do 2 times 3, which is 6. So my new base is going to be 6 squares wide. I'm now going to go to the point at the top of this triangle that's given to me in the question. Okay, that's going to tell me the height, the perpendicular height of this triangle, okay? And it's actually 3 squares high. So if this triangle, the original one, is 3 squares high, then I am going to do 3 times 3 because the scale factor is 3. So I'm multiplying the height of that triangle with the scale factor and I get 9. So my new height of my new enlarged triangle is going to be 9 squares high, and it's actually going to be from the middle, just like it is in my original triangle. I'm going to go in the middle of this base here, 3 squares in, and I'm going to count up 9. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now I end up here. So that is actually where I'm going to join the base of my triangle to this point at the top. And I'll do the same on the other side. And that's my new triangle. For question number 12, it says P is equal to 2G plus 4H. Work out the value of P when G equals 3 and H equals 5. So we've got a bit of substitution here. And we know that 2G actually means 2 times G. So 2 times G is now 2 times 3, which is 6. 4H means 4 times H. So we're going to do 4 times 5 because it tells us that H is 5. And that gives us 20. So the last step is to say that P is equal to 6 plus 20, which is 26. Part 2 says work out the value of G when P equals 38 and H equals 3. So kind of going a bit backwards now, so we're going in reverse. If P is 38, I'm going to substitute that in. Part 2 says work out the value of G when P equals 38 and H is 3. So at this point, I am going to substitute 38 as P. So kind of going in reverse order now. And so 38 is going to be equal to 2G plus 4H. Now what I know about 4H is that now H is 3 from the question. So I'm going to do 4 times 3, which is 12. So I'm going to write 2G plus 12. Now I have an equation that I can start to solve. I need to isolate my variable G. So I need to get rid of the plus 12, and the opposite of plus 12 is minus 12 on both sides. So 38 minus 12 is 26. That's going to be equal to 2G. And now I need to do the inverse of 2 times G, which is 2G divided by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides to leave G and isolate G to get it by itself. 26 divided by 2 is 13. So that means G is equal to 13. Part B. V equals 3R minus Q. Work out the value of V when R is negative 3 and Q equals 2. So if R is negative 3, I know that 3R is going to be 3 times negative 3, which is negative 9, because I've got a positive multiplied by a negative. So I've got V equals negative 9, take away Q. And it says that Q is 2, so I'm actually going to write V equals negative 9, take away my value of 2 here. And negative 9 take away 2 is going to be negative 11. My answer gets smaller. Okay, so V is negative 11. Question 13 says Chloe is making scrunchies. Chloe has a large number of hairbands. Each hairband costs 8p. She buys 100 grams of wool for £3. Chloe uses 1 hairband and 5 grams of wool to make each scrunchie. She makes as many scrunchies as she can. Work out the total cost of each scrunchie that she makes. Give your answer in pence. So first of all, she's bought 100 grams of wool for £3. And I'm actually going to write the £3 in pence just because the question says give your answer in pence. So £3 is the same as 300p. So I'm now going to write down 100 grams of wool costs 300p altogether. And actually each scrunchie needs just 5 grams of wool. So we need to work out how much that is going to cost. So how do we get from 100 to 5? What do we need to divide by? Well, 100 divided by 5 is 20. So that means 100 divided by 20 is 5. So I'm actually going to divide 300 by 20 to see what the cost of 5 grams of wool is, which is what she needs to make each scrunchie. So 300 divided by 20 makes, carry the 3 over, 20 into 30 is once, remainder 10, and then 20 into 100 is 5. So that means 5 grams of wool actually costs 15 pence. And now if that is for one scrunchie, because it says 5 grams of wool to make each scrunchie, and then it also says that Chloe uses 1 hairband, I need to add on the cost of 1 hairband. So now I need to do 15p plus 8p, which makes 23p. So one scrunchie, costs 23p to make. Question 14 says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 4x, take away 1 for values of x from -2 to 2. So the first thing I'm going to do to make this very easy, or easier, is to draw a table of values. And I'm going to have x and y in that first column there. I'm going to have x values from -2 to +2. So this is going to be -1, this will be 0, 1, and then 2. Now I'm going to substitute the values of x in to this equation, y equals 4x minus 1, to get my values of y. So I'm going to start from the right-hand side here. 4 times 2 is 8, and then 8 take away 1 is 7. 4 times 1 is 4, and then 4 take away 1 is 3. 4 times 0 is 0, and then 0 take away 1 is -1. 4 times -1 is -4. -4 take away 1 is -5. 4 times -2 is -8. -8 take away 1 is -9. So now I have some coordinates that I'm going to plot on this graph. -2, -9. So starting in the middle at 0, I go across to -2 to the left, and then go down to -9, which is right here. And then I'm going to go to -1, -5, which is going to be here. 0, -1 will be here. 1, 3 is going to be here. And then 2, 7, 2 to the right, 7 up is here. So now I've got a straight line that I can draw all of my, my line going through all of those points. And it's going to look like, just making sure my line goes as much as through as much of those points as possible, like that. That is how my line is going to look. Y equals 4x minus 1. Question number 15. Steve is buying a car. The car costs £12,000. Steve pays 25% of the cost as a deposit. He pays the rest of the cost in 20 equal monthly amounts. How much is each monthly payment? So first of all, he has paid a deposit. A deposit means he's already paid an amount towards the £12,000. So we need to find out how much he actually paid towards that £12,000 because he no longer needs to pay that back. So 25% of £12,000 is what I need to work out because it says he pays 25% of the cost and the cost is £12,000. So to work out 25%, it's actually the same as saying 25 over 100 times 12,000. But we don't have a calculator here. So 25 over 100 can be simplified to make that a bit easier for us to solve. And if you divide both the numerator and the denominator by 25, you get 25 divided by 25, which is 1, and 100 divided by 25, which is 4. So actually we're saying 1/4 of 12,000, which is a bit easier to calculate now, because all we have to do this is divide 12,000 by 4. 4 into 12 is 3, and then I've got 0, 0, 0. So 1/4 of 12,000 is 3,000. So that's how much Steve has actually paid already. So what I can now do is subtract that number, 12,000, from, 3,000 from 12,000. So actually what's left to pay is £9,000, and we're going to split that over 20 monthly payments, and we're going to split it equally. So now we need to find out how much each monthly payment is. Well, I'm going to divide 9,000 by 20. So 20 does not go into 9, so I'm going to carry that 9 over. So 20 into 90 would be 4 times, because 20 times 4 is 80, but there is a remainder of 10. So now 20s into 100 is 5, and 20s into 0 is 0. So actually we're paying £450 each month. Question number 16 says that Shah takes an exam. The exam is out of 60 marks. Shah needs to score at least 70% of the marks to pass the exam. He scores 45 marks. Show that Shah passes the exam. So the first thing we want to do is work out what 70% of the marks would actually be, and that would give us the minimum amount of marks needed to pass that exam. So we need to work out 70% of 60, okay? So the first thing that we can do is work out 10% of 60, because we know that to find 10% of any number, we divide by 10. So 10% of 60 would be 6, because 60 divided by 10 is 6. And we're looking for 70%, so we're going to times 6 by 7, which gives us 42. So the minimum amount of marks needed would have been 42 marks. And Shah scores 45 marks, so we're going to say that 45 is greater than 42. So therefore, Shah passed the exam. Question number 17, work out 3/5 divided by 1/6. Give your answer as a mixed number. So we're going to use the rule when we're dividing fractions, which is to change the sign so that the division becomes a multiplication. And then we use the reciprocal of that second fraction. So 1/6 becomes 6/1. Okay, we flip that fraction over, which is called the reciprocal. So now to multiply fractions, we multiply the numerators. 3 times 6 gives us 18, and then we multiply the denominators. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, so the answer is actually 18/5, but the question says to give your answer as a mixed number. So we need to work out how many 5s go into 18. So 5 times 3 is actually 15. So therefore 5 goes into 18 3 whole times, but there is a remainder because 18 take away 15 is 3. So the remainder is actually going to be 3/5. So you're going to have 3 and 3/5. Question number 18, work out 6.3 times 2.4. So what I'm going to do is convert both of those decimals into whole numbers. So 6.3 times 10 becomes 63. 2.4 times 10 becomes 24. I'm now going to multiply those numbers together. So 63 times 24. 3 times 4 is 12. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 1 is 25. And then I'm going to put my placeholder value of 0 underneath that 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And 2 times 6 is 12. I'm now going to add those two numbers together. 11 here, 5, and then 1. So the answer to 63 times 24 is actually 1,512. But I did make my answer 10 times bigger twice. So I actually need to divide 1,512 by 100. Or divide by 10 and then divide by 10 again. So 1,512 divided by 100 is actually 15.12. So that's going to be my final answer. Question number 19, write down the value of 5 to the power of 0, or anything to the power of 0 is 1. So 5 to the power of 0 is 1. It's literally that simple. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. And part 2 says, write down the value of 5 to the power of negative 2. I'm going to use an index law here, which is a to the power of negative m is equal to 1 over a to the power of positive m. So this is what is needed for this question. We've got negative m here being negative 2. So I'm going to put 1 over 5 to the power of positive 2 there. 5 squared is actually 25. So the final answer, 1 over 25. Part B says to write 2 to the power of 5 times 2 to the power of 4 all over 2 to the power of 3 in the form 2 to the power of n, where n is an integer. So I'm going to use another index law here that says that a to the power of m times a to the power of n is equal to a to the power of m plus n. And I'm going to use that law for the numerator. So 2 to the power of 5 times 2 to the power of 4 is going to be equal to 2 to the power of 9, because 5 plus 4 is 9. And then I'm going to use another index law because I now have a calculation that says 2 to the power of 9 over 2 to the power of 3. Now, when you have a fraction, you know that it means the numerator is being divided by the denominator. So the other index law that I could use is that a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n equals a to the power of m take away n. So I can apply that here and say 2 to the power of 9 divided by 2 to the power of 3 is equal to 2 to the power of 6, because 9 take away 3 is 6. So the answer is 2 to the power of 6. Question 20 says, write 156 as a product of its prime factors. So I'm going to think of the prime numbers that go into 156. This is an even number, so I know that 2 can go into 156 because it is also a prime number. Therefore, it is a prime factor. So dividing 156 by 2 to find out what I need to multiply 2 by to get to 156. I get 7 here because 7 times 2 is 14, remainder 1. And then I get 8. So 78. And now I know that 78 is not a prime number. So again, I'm going to divide 78 by 2. 2's into 7 are 3 because 2 times 3 is 6, remainder 1. And then I get 9 there. So I've got 2 and 39. 39 is also not a prime number. This time I can divide 39 by 3, which is a prime number. So I'm going to put 3 as one of the branches there. 3's into 3 is 1. 3's into 9 is 3. So that's 3 times 13, which makes 39. So now I'm going to circle all of my prime factors here. 13 is a prime number, so I stopped. And therefore, 156 can be written as 2 times 2 times 3 times 13. But I can even write down 2 times 2 as 2 to the power of 2. So my final answer is going to be 2 to the power of 2 times 3 times 13. Now moving on to part B, it says find the highest common factor of 156 and 130. So at this point, I am going to write down 130 also as a product of prime factors, which I have not done just yet. So 130 is also an even number, so I can divide that by 2. And that is going to be 65. I can divide 65 by 5, which is also a prime number. And now I'm left with 13, which is also a prime number. So I've got 2, 5, and 13. At this point, I am going to draw a Venn diagram to help me find the highest common factor. So in my Venn diagram, I'm going to write factors of 156 in one set and factors of 130 in the other set. Now the common factor that was a factor of both is 2. I've got a 2 here and I've also got a 2 at the top there. So I'm going to write 2 in the middle. There's another 2 though that is a factor of 156. That is not a factor of 130. So that 2 belongs to 156 only. I'm going to cross that off. Then I've got a factor of 5 for 130 that is not present in the factors of 156. So 5 is going to go in the 130 set only. I'm going to tick that off. Now I've got a factor of 3. That is a factor of 156. That is not a factor of 130. So I'm going to put the 3 in the 156 set. And finally, I've got a factor of 13 that does appear in both lists. So I'm going to place that right in the intersection in the middle. So now to find the highest common factor, what I need to do is multiply the numbers in my intersection set. So which are 2 and 13. 2 times 13 is 26. So that means that the highest common factor of 156 and 130 is 26. Question number 21 says the mean length of 5 sticks is 4.2. Noel measured the length of one of the sticks as 7 centimeters. Work out the mean length of the other 4 sticks. So first of all, I'm going to write down how I would find the mean. So the mean is found by dividing the total by the number of values that you have. That is the definition of the mean. That's what we do. So the mean length of 5 sticks is 4.2 centimeters. So I'm going to actually input those numbers, okay? So the mean is 4.2. And the number of sticks that we have is 5. So I'm going to put that in the denominator. I don't know anything about the total, so I'm going to just place that in the numerator. However, I have formed an equation with one unknown, and the unknown is the total length of all of the 5 sticks. So to work out the total length of all of the 5 sticks, I need to do the inverse of dividing that total by 5, which is to multiply both sides by 5. So I'm going to do 4.2 times 5. And that gives me 21. So therefore, the total length of the 5 sticks is actually 21 centimeters. So I found a bit of information out there. It says Noel measured the length of one of the sticks as 7 centimeters. Work out the mean length of the 4 sticks, of the other 4 sticks. So if the total of the 5 sticks had a total length of 21 centimeters, and I need to work out the mean length of the 4, I'm going to subtract the length of that one stick, which was 7 centimeters, from 21, which is going to give me 14. Now, to find the mean of the 4 sticks, I'm going to do 14 divided by 4. I'm going to write mean equals 14 divided by 4. Why 14? It's because I had to subtract the length of one of the sticks from the total length of those 5 sticks. So now 14 divided by 4. 4 goes into 14 3 times, but there is a remainder because 3 times 4 is 12, so the remainder would be 2. So 4's into 20 now are 5. So the mean length of the other 4 sticks is 3.5 centimeters. Now it says Noel made a mistake. The stick was not 7 centimeters long, it was 17 centimeters long. How does this affect your answer to part A? So let's start back at where we were before. The total length of the 5 sticks was 21 centimeters. Now we would need to subtract 17 from 21, not 7. And we would get 4. So the total length of all of the 4 sticks would have been 4 centimeters. Therefore, the mean would be 4 divided by 4 because there were 4 sticks. And that makes 1 centimeter.
Question 22 shows
so 1 centimeter is clearly smaller than 3.5 centimeters. So how does this affect your answer to part A?
At P.
Well, now my mean is smaller. The mean becomes smaller.
So the first thing to do for this question is to place the point of your compass on the point P.
And that's all I would say.
Open your compass and make 2 marks on the line AB. You're then going to move that compass onto one of the arcs open up that compass a bit more so it's over halfway of that line, and then make 2 construction arcs, one above the line AB and one below the line AB. You're then going to move the compass onto the other arc and make two more arcs, one above the line and one below the line. So it's important to note that here I have not changed the size of my compass. I'm just ensuring that both of my arcs will intersect and cross over. So I go back and make one of the arcs longer. Now I take the ruler and I draw a straight line through those intersection points and going through point P. And that forms an angle of 90 degrees. Question number 23 says that the diagram shows an isosceles triangle, ABD, and the straight line ABC. Now, BA is equal to BD, so these two lines are the same length because this is an isosceles triangle. And X to Y is in the ratio 2 to 1. So I'm going to write X to Y in the ratio of 2 to 1. So what this means is that X has a value, let's say 2x, we can express that value as, and Y would just be X. So what we can now do is label that on our diagram. So we call this 2x, this would be X, and actually angle D here would also be 2x because the base angles in an isosceles triangle are the same, or in other words, the angles opposite the sides that are equal are the same. So those two angles are the same. Now we need to find the value of X. So we know that angles in a triangle add up to make 180. So if I've got 2x plus 2x plus x, that's all going to equate to make 180 degrees because there's 3 angles in the triangle. And now 2x plus x is actually 5x. So 5x is 180. And now to find the value of 1x, I need to divide both sides by 5. So 180 divided by 5, 5 into 18 is 3 because 5 times 3 is 15. But there's a remainder of 3. So 5 into 30 is 6. So x is actually 36. So this means that this angle here is 36 degrees. Now this angle is on a straight line, okay? So 36 plus W are going to add up to make 180 degrees as well because angles on a straight line make 180 degrees. So to find the size of angle W, I need to subtract 36 from 180. And I get 180 take away 36, 4, 4, 1. I get 144. So W is 144 degrees. Question number 24. Mano has 3 shelves of books. There are X books on shelf A, 3X plus 1 books on shelf B, and 2X take away 5 books on shelf C. There's a total of 44 books on the 3 shelves. All the books have the same mass. The books on shelf B have a total mass of 7,500 grams. Work out the total mass of the books on the shelf. So the first thing I'd like to do is actually find out how many books there are on each shelf. I've been given the total of all of the books on the 3 shelves. So I'm going to sum together the expressions that actually tell me how many books there are on each shelf. So I'm going to add together X plus 3X plus 1 plus 2X take away 5. And that is going to give me 4X plus 2X makes 6X. And then I'm going to do 1 take away 5, which gives me negative 4. Now that's going to sum to make 44 because it tells me that there's a total of 44 books on the shelf. So now I'm going to solve to find x by adding 4 on both sides, leaving me with 6x equals 48. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 6 to get the value of x. So x is equal to 8. Now it says that the books on shelf B have a total mass of 7,500. Work out the total mass of the books on shelf A. So I'm going to use the information that the books on shelf B have a total mass of 7,500 by taking that expression of 3x plus 1 for the number of books on shelf B. And I'm now going to substitute 8 into that expression. So 3 times 8 plus 1. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So there's actually 25 books on shelf B. And they have a total mass of 7,500 grams because it tells me that in the question. So I now need to find the weight of one book by dividing both sides by 25 because 25 divided by 25 leaves me with one book. So 7,500 divided by 25. So 25 into 75 is 3. And then I've got 0, 0. So 300 grams is the weight of one book. And it says work out the total mass of the books on shelf A. I'm just going to bring my working out up here. So shelf A has X books. And X is actually 8. So shelf A has 8 books. Each book weighs 300 grams. So now I just need to do 300 times 8. And the answer would be 2,400 grams. Question number 25. A piece of glass has a mass of 27 grams and a volume of 10 centimeters cubed. Work out the density of the piece of glass. So for this question, we need to know our compound measures, and we need to know that mass divided by volume is equal to density. So density is equal to mass over volume. Therefore, the mass is 27 and the volume is 10. So 27 divided by 10 is 2.7. Question 26 says work out an estimate for 5.7 times 8.2 over 0.26. So I'm going to round all the numbers in the numerator to the nearest integer. So 5.7 rounded to the nearest integer is 6. And then I'm going to multiply that by 8.2 rounded to the nearest integer, which is 8. I'm going to put that over 0.3. So I'm going to round that denominator to 1 decimal place, because if I do round it to the nearest integer, I would get 0. And I don't want to get 0 in my denominator. So I'm going to round that to the nearest decimal place, 1 decimal place, which is 0.3. So now I can do 6 times 8, which is 48, over 0.3. So I need to work out an answer to this. So because I'm dividing by a decimal now, I'm going to actually convert that decimal into an integer as well by multiplying by 10. So if I multiply the bottom by 10, I'd need to multiply the top by 10 as well. So I'd get 480 divided by 3. And so 480 divided by 3 gives me 160. So 480 divided by 3 is 160. This is actually the same answer as 48 divided by 0.3. It does not change. So the answer is 160 as an estimate. Question number 27, final question. Expand and simplify 3x plus 2 times 2x minus 5. So what I'm going to do is take that first term, 3x, in the first set of brackets and multiply it by the second set of brackets. And I am then going to multiply the second term in that first set of brackets, which is plus 2, by the second set of brackets, 2x minus 5. So both of my brackets here are 2x minus 5. Now I'm going to multiply the first term, the term outside the brackets with the first term inside the brackets. And then I'm going to multiply the term outside the brackets with the second term inside the brackets. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. and I'm going to do the same with the second set of brackets. So 2 times 2x gives me a plus 4x, and then 2 times negative 5 gives me negative 10. Now I'm going to collect my like terms. 6x squared remains the same because there's no other term with an x squared. And then negative 15x plus 4x actually gives me negative 11x. And then I've got negative 10, which is the only constant. So that's my final answer. 6x squared minus 11x minus 10. Finally, it says factorize x squared minus 16. So this is actually the same as saying x squared plus 0x minus 16. So thinking of two numbers that multiply to make negative 16 and add to make 0, those two numbers are negative 4 and 4. So what I then do inside my brackets as a final answer is I write x plus 4 and x minus 4. There we have the difference of two squares. So that is it for the November 2023 Foundation Paper 1 Maths Edexcel GCSE. Please stay tuned for my video on the higher paper, and if you have any further questions in the upcoming of the GCSEs in 2024, please let me know and I can make a video on that as soon as possible. Good luck, everyone.